Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. This channel is mostly known for fighting games, but another genre that I really love is horror. So welcome to the first episode of Revisitations, a sort of cross between a podcast and a retrospective where I go back and revisit some of my favorite horror games with some good friends. Hope you enjoy it. So I guess this is episode 1, the pilot, the premiere, the first, the primordial soup of a new podcast called Revisitations, where we'll be, yeah, and I'm very glad and honored to be joined by my friend Hannah.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's it's honestly an honor. I'm really excited because other than fighting games, I love horror. Anything with horror literature, video games, film, like you name it. Like I am all about it. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
Hey, pleasure to have you here. We have both recently played through PT. I think Hannah, you played it through like a week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So for me, like what I had to do, and I felt so silly. I played one recreation, and it wasn't finished. For some reason.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, 2 versions of it. Yeah, and then the original one, the Unreal PT, I played that. I liked both, but the Unreal Engine one was so much more aesthetically pleasing. It was so much more detailed. It just looked more creepy. Like it looked old. Like the first rendition, it just looked newer.
Okay, the toilet paper looks actually disgusting. I'm cool with that. I would not use this bathroom.
Yeah, there are a bunch of remakes out there. There are at least 3 or 4. Not remakes, but like, you know,
renditions, recreations, reimaginings.
Yeah. I think you saw a bit of me playing on PS4. How did it compare?
I did. Yours had, I mean, obviously, because it's the OG PT. It was more fluid. It was more put together. It had details, like, as much as I hate bugs, but like the cockroaches, like I didn't see those in any of the. I didn't see those. I mean, when you enter the game, it's, you know, this house has been sitting for a while, like it's old, like it's empty, like something bad obviously happened. It's just, it didn't have that, like, that age, you know what I mean?
I hear you. Yeah, like that final level of like rusty polish, I guess.
The sounds, there were sounds that I didn't realize that were in the game that you played, because it's the original versus the ones that I played.
Right.
So I feel like with some of like the sounds and like the weird breathing, like it just sounded more fluid in your game than it did mine.
You can tell that the new ones are made by one person, whereas the old one is like it's a team of like absolute professionals, you know. So,
yeah, exactly.
Like I played this 6 years ago when it first came out, and that's the reason I have it on PS4. I downloaded it, and I believe like 2 months later, maybe less, a month later, it was taken off the stores. I'm very lucky to have that on my original PS4. And for you just played it recently. Like the first time you played it was 2 weeks ago. What did you think of it? Does it hold up after 6 years?
Yes, 100%. It does hold up.
I would 100% agree with you. I thought it was absolutely terrifying. I was still just as scared when I played it like yesterday as I was 6 years ago. And for fuck's sake! Shit. And actually 6 years ago, I was legit like haunted by that game for a solid week.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't.
For me,
go on.
I don't know. Like I got obsessed with it, kind of like I did with like Blair Witch, like the movies and stuff. I wanted to know more. I want to know like what happened, like and everything. Like I wanted like more detail, and it's not just me who thought that, but it was fans of like the Silent Hill series, like in general. And I think Lisa at first scared me, but after like watching it a couple times and seeing other people's reactions, I kind of started to get used to it. But it's different when you're watching someone else play it versus when it's like right in front of you.
Ah! Oh shit!
So it's a whole different experience. But I would say it's aged like fine wine nowadays. Like it's such an iconic game. Like if you haven't played it, please find a way to play it. It's that good. It's amazing.
I don't know how much the PC versions hold up under scrutiny on a visual level, but I was like damn impressed how good the PS4 version still looks. I was like jaw on the floor at the time when it came out, but it still looks really good. Like it still
looks beautiful.
Yeah, and I imagine the reason for that is because it's just a hallway. Like you know,
L-shaped hallway, you know.
It's literally one hallway and that's it. And it's such a hyper focused game. Around that spins around a central idea. So, you know, you had Kojima Production at the time, who are some of the most talented developers in the world, and they're all working on a bloody hallway. So, of course, it's going to look fantastic.
Right, exactly.
What were some of the standout moments for you in this?
Well, first of all, it's silent. And then, because usually with horror games, there's some type of like music. Yeah. Usually there's like some type of like eerie music, and then when something happens, there's like a bang or like some type of like high note that just kind of makes the jump scare like there. For me, it's turning the corner and like seeing Lisa and like how tall she is, and I'm like, oh no, like I actually screamed on stream. Like it was
yeah.
Oh my god.
I was absolutely terrified because I'm sitting like this, like trying to play the game, and I'm just so immersed in everything. That, and then the breathing. Like the bathroom knocks, like I kind of expected that because I already seen the gameplay in the beginning. The red hallway, that wasn't fun. I had to sit and pause for a second, and I'm like, am I gonna sleep tonight? Like, am I gonna be like okay streaming this?
This not the same hallway. This a different hallway.
You brought up the sound design. The sound design is incredible. Like I had awesome. These in at the time, and I had them cranked up, and it was like it adds so much. You have to play this game with headphones. And just like Lisa's breathing, the banging of the doors, the creaking of the floorboard,
the baby crying,
the baby. That baby screaming is really disturbing. Kojima, man, like
radio also, like I didn't realize that. So when you've done the loop a couple times, the radio has a message in Swedish.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's some easy listening.
I had no idea. And then there was more like of like the baby talking, like they say something about like an umbilical cord or whatever.
Bro, what the fuck is this?
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register.
Some of like the footsteps, like physically hearing Lisa, like that was that kind of hit me at my work desk today. I'm like, oh my god, like she's like right behind them.
And there's a certain point where there's like a haunting. You'll hear like a high heel walking behind you, because Lisa is like asymmetrically tall. Like she's super tall, but one side is taller than the other, and she leans. She leans. That's right, because she's wearing a single high heel. And you'll hear.
I know that.
Yeah. You'll hear like one muted footstep, which is her bare foot, and another like a clicking footstep, which is the high heel. But that means that Lisa is right behind you. Like right
following you. Yeah. She's glued to you.
Yeah. There's a certain point in the game where she's like hard coded just to stick to you. And they figured that out like a few years later after the game was released. Which
that creeped me out the most, I think. Like out of just knowing that she's just like right there, like she's always with you, like the entire time.
Yeah. that definitely adds another layer. And I think it's amazing that this game is like, it's 10 minutes long if you know what to do, and it's like 6 years old, and people are still figuring out, there are still unraveling layers about it. It's incredible. It's a very powerful game, right? And what were the elements that made it work for you?
For me personally, I think it was just the idea of finding fear in something so like mundane, like a house. In your home or like in a room, like it's secure most of the time because it's shelter. And that primal instinct, you're like, I'm safe here, like nothing can harm me. But when something's in your house and you're like walking around and it's like, I kind of relate it to like when you watch a really scary movie at night and like your house is dark and you're walking by yourself and no one else is home. It's kind of that fear. But I think it's just like finding fear in like such a mundane environment.
What's
like
supposed to be a safe space. Your home is supposed to be. Yeah, it's like turning the storage room in Resident Evil into the where the horror happens. I honestly think like your home like can be the scariest place if you invert it. Yeah, we said this a bit earlier, but like I feel like PT sort of, of course, it inspired a lot of copycats, but it also kind of created a new subgenre in horror games, which we called on the stream yesterday like domestic horror. The central idea is that you're trapped in a home, and the home seems fairly ordinary, but there are some things that are not quite right, and it builds and it builds and it builds until it just turns into this nightmarish kind of situation. And what was initially meant somewhat feels secure is just totally inverted.
It's like false hope in finding safety.
Yeah, I'm a big coward. Like I get really scared at horror movies, and I think you need a coward in a sense to make a good horror game, because I think like horror is about imagination, right? And Kojima understands that, and like it's really clear in the way that you barely ever see Lisa in that game. Like you
don't know where she is. Like when you're looking up and she's like staring down at you,
it's in the shadows. Yeah, still
that freaked me out. Seeing her like, so the first rendition like that I played, she floated back. That freaked me out.
I am so... Oh my god. Oh. Hi. 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 Oh, bitch. No.
I flipped out. And my mom was even in chat too. And she gets really concerned when I'm on stream with like a horror game. But she was genuinely freaked out. That I played that game.
I don't know if I can continue doing this. She just full on just did this. She said bye, like just full. Oh my god.
I mean, there's a great comment. Your mind fills in the blanks with something that will scare you more than any 3D model or sound effect. And that's totally true. Like, ideally, they will mesh. Like, the game feeds you something to stimulate your imagination. And your imagination is like, if to its own devices, will always be far more terrifying.
It's incredible. Like the things that the human mind can do, whether it's imagining or calculating something or just articulating, it's like, especially with horror, it's incredible.
You know, it's an interesting thing. Like I believe they opened up the PT files and they found that there's like a model of Lisa. You're supposed to find her headless in the bath at one point.
Yep.
And I thought, like, why did they remove that? I was like, oh, well, I know why they removed that, because they wanted to keep this level of mystery and unknowingness behind Lisa. Like, if you go into the bathroom and she's just like, she's dead and she's right there. Like, it's creepy for a moment, yeah? But then you kind of get to understand that character a bit. This level of abstraction and unknowingness is gone, right? So, and Kojima, I'm sure that's why they removed it. What you can't see and what you can imagine is always much scarier than what's presented to you. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of recent horror games aren't, to me anyway, aren't as scary as some earlier ones. Maybe I just haven't been playing the right horror games. I'm not sure if you've seen, but there've been a lot of like, there's been this sort of resurgence of kind of low polygon horror games. Like there's one called like Yuki Onna, and there's a bunch of them. And sure, I understand why they're that way. They're like indie games. They don't have the budget to like do these fully 3D rendered beautiful monsters. But also there's something to be said that the level of abstraction that those kind of graphics give you allows you to fill in the blanks a bit more. You can definitely see Kojima's like kind of fingerprints on PT. It's a very cinematic experience. You can tell a lot of the ways it does its scares are inspired by cinema, like the and good psychological like horror, like the way it knows a few key elements of good horror, which is to start slow and ramp it up, and it's masterful in the way it ramps up the horror. Literally with each loop of the hallway, it starts off relatively like, oh, this is fine, and then
starts to like do this, and it kind of comes back down, and then like you kind of just go out the door.
Oh yeah, like
traumatized and scarred for life, basically.
Traumatized and scarred for life. Yeah, like,
scarred for life.
Like, how many loops are there? I think you can get through the game in 10 minutes, maybe less. And I think there are 13 loops or something. The first one is just a standard walk through the hallway. And the second one is like you hear a banging on the door. The third one, like the door is closing. Like, as you're approaching it, closing.
Oh, and then the bathroom door opens. And then that's when it starts to like, okay, like some shit's about to happen. Like, get ready for impact.
It starts off with this sense of like, it's a bit odd, to something's quite wrong. And then you hear Lisa crying behind the bathroom, the banging on the door, and it just builds up layers and layers and layers. And it does storytelling, which is like Dark Souls does it. It's what do they call it? Environmental storytelling. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes, yeah, that's a perfect description for it. Yes.
Yeah, and I think the shit kind of really hits the fan when you go into the bathroom for the first time. It's just before that when you turn the corner.
Yeah, that's when it's like, oh no. It starts to hit like, oh no, she's like right there. Because at that point, like if it's your first time like playing, you don't know if she's gonna charge at you. Yeah. You don't know what's gonna happen next. Like she's just like menacingly like just staring at you. Yeah. And as soon as you walk up to her and the lights shut off, you're like,
oh my god!
Like the sense of panic, like oh my god, like your fight or flight starts to kick in, and like and that's why I feel like with PT, like it has like this primal like fight or flight, because again you're in shelter, but there's something with you that's sinister. It's uncomfortable. It's unnerving, even though you think you're in a safe place, but you're really not, like at all.
Yeah, that first opening, like that first time you properly see Lisa for the first time standing in front. That's such a powerful, iconic, like cinematic shot. It's framed beautifully. And I think like you see a little glimpse of her like shutting the door and whatnot. And it again, it knows that good horror has to be built. Like it's like a roller coaster, right? Like it's like
it is, yeah.
And yeah,
basically,
oh, like that shot is so powerful though, because you can the light is above her and it's swinging, and you can just about tell that there's something not quite right about this person. She's freakishly tall.
Like, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Like, I'm here to help you. Yeah. But with the light too, like at some point it just started like swinging like really heavy, and it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like it's definitely a game that kind of tests like your reading, I guess, like trying to predict what's going to happen next, because once you think something's going to happen and it doesn't, and then it catches you off guard.
Oh yeah, the challenge of the game is observing. It's like kind of like a detective game in that way, but like mental fortitude, exactly. And it kind of, the game spells out that challenge for you at the very end in a kind of a taunting, mocking way, when all the portraits turn into eyeballs. It's like, look closer, look harder, look, open your eyes, don't close your eyes, look. That's kind of, that's keep going, you coward. You know, that's kind of what I felt the game is trying to communicate with you.
Did Lisa get you?
Yeah, she did. I like, you know
She
what?
did? Oh no.
The first time
Oh,
I did
no.
it, the first time I did it, I actually collected all the pieces of the portrait, and that doesn't
okay.
stop Lisa from attacking you. But I believe, it makes it like it removes like certain mandatory attacks. Like I believe if you play it without the portrait, you will get attacked for sure at some point in the game. But I believe with the portrait, if you know when to stop and know when to look, you can get through it without an attack. And that's what happened the first time. The second time, we were actively like kind of looking for Lisa, and me and the chat, we all knew sort of how her AI worked, but there's a little grain of unpredictability there. The idea is that once the radio starts, if you turn around too quickly at a 180 degree, it's that grain of unpredictability that makes her scary, because you never have a grasp on her AI, how she operates.
I did get attacked by Lisa in Unreal PT because she was there and I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't looking at chat at the time. So I went near her, but she disappeared, and I'm like, it's gonna happen now. And then she just comes at you and you just get attacked. I think the one thing that got me the most, that was really confusing. The picture thing was kind of like whatever. Like you just have to look around and be more observant and not walk too fast or too slow. But basically the phone ringing and like how to get out of like the time loop. Like I'm still kind of confused about that. Like if I didn't have my Twitch chat and my friends helping me as I go, like I would have probably been stuck there for like an hour.
I remember when the game came out, it was actually kind of, someone beat it, saw the ending with Norman Reedus within a few hours, and I think Kojima was actually, he stated at the time how surprised he was, because the way you're supposed to beat it on PS4 at least is incredibly kind of enigmatic, and what you have to do basically is you have to wait until midnight, and then you have to take 10 steps forward until a baby laughs.
Yes.
And then
did that.
Then you have to talk into a microphone. So I have to hook in a microphone into my PS4 controller. And then you have to, like, say a specific set of words. I don't know if this is on the PC version. This probably wasn't recreated.
I didn't have to do that. No, that's crazy.
No, you have to, like, speak to Lisa at a certain point. And people were saying, like, you have to say a word with the letter J in it. It's like Jack or Jareth or something like that.
Jareth? Yeah, I heard Jareth.
Yeah. Someone said you have to say, help me, Lisa. I tried that, but it didn't work out. And what actually ended up working for me is I said Jiminy Jillikers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that episode of The Simpsons, but it went Jiminy Jillikers, and it worked out for me. Jareth. Lisa, help me. Lisa, help me. Testing. Jack. Jareth. Jiminy Jillikers. Jiminy Jillikers. Jiminy Jillikers did it. And then I heard the second baby laugh. Then you're supposed to just wait. You're just supposed to wait.
You wait.
Oh, it's rumbling. Whoa. Oh, therapeutic. Hello?
You've been chosen.
Yeah, and then the phone rings, and then you can head out. Finally, thank God. Did the PC version have an ending? Did it have Norman Reedus?
No, it did not. So what I did, I actually went to YouTube. I just kind of blew it up on screen, and I'm like, here's what would have happened if I had it on PS4. Here's the actual ending. And my friend Kate, she's such a huge Norman Reedus fan. Like she loved The Walking Dead. So she saw that, and she's like, Hannah, I need this game. And I'm like, well, you can't get it. I'm sorry. Like
it's gone. It's
gone. Like you can't get it anymore. But here's a recreation. Just watch the YouTube videos, I guess.
What was the ending on the Unreal version? Was there an ending? Was it like a thank you for playing kind of thing? Just a message, or
I think it had the baby talking, like
really?
Dad was such a drag. Like it had, I think that on there, and then it ended.
Okay, so yeah. In the original PS4 version, you get the Dad was such a drag, and in hindsight, it's clear that Dad is Konami. It seems almost 1-to-1 about Kojima knowing basically that his time at Konami was up, and they were going to get rid of him in the most kind of disrespectful kind of way.
When I had streamed the game, I didn't understand, like, why did he leave? Why was there such a dramatic, like, whole thing about it? Like, what happened? Well, when I did more research, I guess the reason why he left, I mean, with his contracts and being demoted a bunch of times, and you know, there was this mobile game that was out at the time, and that was making more money than what Kojima was doing. And it was actually more cheaper for this mobile game to make millions of dollars versus them giving and shoveling money to Kojima to make production studios to create games. And, with Metal Gear, what was it? Metal Gear 5, I'm pretty sure.
Metal Gear Solid 5 was the last game he made with Konami. Of course, for anyone who doesn't know that, like, PT was kind of directed and put together by, I'm not sure what it was called again when he was under Konami, but yeah, Kojima Productions, basically. It was directed by Hideo Kojima, and whilst he was still at Konami. And now that you look back on it, like 6 years later, it's clearly full of kind of references to his kind of, the way he got fired or dismissed from Konami. It's full of, you can definitely tell, like, it clearly was intentional.
But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway.
All right. And guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This was episode 1 of Revisitations on PT. Hope you enjoyed it. Hannah, thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. It was an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed myself. Yeah, this was good fun. And guys, thanks again for tuning in. Please catch out Hannah's stream as well, like for Mortal Kombat and horror games. Catch you later.